have been a number of, I think it's fair to say, eye-popping revelations about the Supreme Court and members of the Supreme Court and questionable ethical decision-making in recent weeks. Planned Parenthood, for the first time, is calling for structural and ethical country. I may have answered my own question there, but why now?
I think, we have really been, I think, particularly with the attack on abortion rights, it's been very clear that these are attack on our democratic rights and our democratic freedoms. And I think abortion right bans are also ones that have, voting rights bans and, connecting the dots there about how we are living in this space. But the reality is the court has been fully captured in so many areas. The fact that you have, again, this lone Texas judge that can now shop there, bring to the Fifth Circuit, which is also conservative, and up to the Supreme Court now, which has a conservative supermajority.
Find a court you want to hear your case.
Exactly. And that is a way to circumvent the way in which, kind of popularly elected opinions incredibly important now to both name the fact that we need to see expanded courts from, the lower courts all the way up to the Supreme Court. We need to see terms. We need to see ethical reforms, raise lifetime appointments that are very much out of step with where the majority of people are on a variety of issues, means that, the legitimacy is in fact, and so I think it's really important to call for structural reforms, or, a just to step down for whatever reason. But the reality is that the way in which the system has been captured requires us to engage in structural reform in a different way. And there are a number of groups that, partners of ours, like NARAL, that have stepped into court reform. And we just felt like it's important for us to lend our voice in a moment where abortion rights is so clearly kind of emblematic of the challenge that we are seeing within our democracy.
With these reforms, how long do you think the term limit should be?
Look, I think there are lots of questions in there, and I won't be in the weeds there. I think that the general call is actually what's important, and the fact that we are advocating and educating people, connecting the dots between why they can't have the freedoms that they want, challenging people to ask the question, live in a state that literally trying to hold me hostage, and other people can live in states that are free. Those are not about states' rights. States don't get to determine what your freedoms are. And unless we actually engage in in reform of the way our judiciary works, and we won't be able to really attain our freedoms again. And so I think it's a long road to get there. We know. But our job is to be advocates. Our job is to, and join forces with the folks who have been deep in the weeds thinking about the important rights. Isn't just about bodily autonomy, right? At the end of the day, it is about trust. And it is about whether or not people believe that we can make our own decisions. They trust us to make decisions about our own bodies because we have fundamental rights that allow us to do so, that should be inalienable, and whether or not we have systems to live on in perpetuity. And if you don't challenge the systems that are taking them away, then you're not actually fighting the fight at all levels.
Do you feel that there is more momentum in recent for greater potential reforms of the court? Something you hear from people talking to?
Yeah, and in fact, I've done a circuit of what I'd say like corporate events. Going to various events where lots of corporate leaders are having conversations, and a lot of my focus over this last year has been to engage C-suite leaders, and are coming into this issue because they've been neutral, for the most part. And I have been so surprised at how quickly they are connecting all of the dots between, the need for reform, the need, the need for lawmakers. There are states now where we are seeing a decline in the number of OBGYN residents who want to practice in banned states. Mm-hmm. Idaho had to close
because they're scared,
they're afraid, because they don't want to have to call a lawyer mm-hmm. before they provide miscarriage care. And so they stand all of the levers that make that, a reality in a place where they may be doing business. And so it's not just the activists out here having conversations around reform. Mm-hmm. It's not just activists raising questions about, like, should you let a donor and you were a Supreme Court justice?
Or pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in vacations? Yes.
Yes, exactly. I think that, there are some things that are really suspicious and fishy there. And I think that really raises a level of alarm about the integrity that we expect from our democratic institutions and the impact, not just on our democracy, also on the way in which we just live our lives. Is what I hear every day people talking about. And again, that from activists to CEOs wondering where the lever that we can pull in order to, like,